About disorient.
Good evening. It's 5:30, and in a moment, we'll begin the Village of Gates Mills Council meeting on July 15th. Ms. Deacon will be a little late today, so we'll proceed without her. And looks like we have everyone else here. Dixon Morgan isn't joining us today, so we've asked Chuck Spear to make any comments on the financial report if he cares to. Mike, we ready to go? Okay. Okay, so we'll commence the meeting of the Gates Mills Council at 5:30 on July 15th in the beautiful village of Gates Mills in the wonderful Chagrin River Valley. Roll call, please, clerk.
Eton.
Here.
Broom.
Here.
Deacon. Oh, she's not here. Onesco.
Here.
Press.
Here.
Steinbrink.
Here.
Turner. Here. Turner. Here. Thank you.
Okay, first item of business is a review of the minutes of June 17th. Those were sent to you in advance. Hopefully we had a chance to review those. Are there any comments or questions for Janet or for Beth? While you're looking, I'll take the moment to mention that in the minutes, there was a reference to some of the priorities that we chose not to proceed with. I committed at the last meeting to put together a paragraph on each of those for council, which you found at your place this morning or this evening. I don't expect that we need to go through those now, but I did want to close the loop on that. And if there are any of those four items that you want to talk about today, we certainly can do that or later on, but we wanted to close the loop on that.
Shouldn't we at some point go through those for the record and decide, yes, we're going to address them, or no, we don't want to address them?
Sure.
So we kind of tick them off. Those are outstanding items from the comprehensive plan. And these are the last ones that I'm aware of.
Well, the last ones I'm aware of too, and it'd be nice to close the loop that way. So can I suggest this, since we have a pretty full agenda and we've got some guests from the outside, we'll do this later on at today's meeting? Maybe an hour from now or what have you. Okay. Any other comments? If none, Scott?
I'll move approval of the minutes, June 17th, 2025 meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Roll call, please.
Eton.
Yes.
Broom.
Yes.
Deacon. Onesco.
Yes.
Press.
Recuse. I wasn't here.
Okay. Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item is pay ordinance 12-9. David.
The video didn't work for the last meeting. For this meeting, we're reporting now, so it was impossible to check the minutes against the video. I don't know why it didn't work.
There were some technical difficulties. I really don't know how to explain it. It had something to do with the video that was on YouTube went from the hearing at 4:30 all the way through an executive session, a break, the beginning of the next council meeting, and finally it ended in an executive session. And I don't know how to explain, but putting the pieces on YouTube, Jean is working on it. She's had some difficulties.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item then is number 3, pay ordinance number 1299 in the amount of $464,579. While you're looking through that, perhaps if you have any questions, I do want to mention that one item you'll see on here, there's 2 items that are a little bit worth comment. One is EnviroScience, the very last item on the listing for $5,000. It says noise study, Chagrin River Road. That was the study we did last year for responding to some concerns that residents along River Road had with the stopping. The invoice never got to me and it never got to Janet. So it was somewhere in transit. Not blaming anybody, but it's obviously out of period. And we haven't done a new traffic study. So that was good work and it needed to be paid and it's just there. The other item is there's $22,000 to Retzel and Andrus, which is our law director work that covers several months. So please don't be alarmed that all that was chewed up in 1 month. At the same time, I do want to Mentioned to council that I have asked Todd going forward that if there are items that council requests of he or his firm, as they are permitted to do, and they require a fair amount of research or anything written, that I would like to know about those in advance so that I can be aware of those, make sure that they're valid, so to speak, and if there's any data that we can provide from the village's standpoint that's not legal opinion, that we provide that. We need to just be careful on some of these costs, and you guys all have access to Todd, and I think that's a good way to go, but we need to just make sure we're doing the right thing. Any questions on the payment listing?
Yeah, to tell Repco is that new computers for the police department, cars?
Okay, absent that, may I have a motion to approve pay ordinance 1299?
So moved.
Thank you, Michael. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinberg.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Thank you. We've got quite a few things on the mayor's report. So let's go through them. Let's start on ones that are near and dear to some of our residents' heart, flooding. On December 5th, the village had quite a bit of rain that came 2.5 inches, more than normal at a faster speed and a greater level than we've had in the past, that in many cases overwhelmed some systems that we have, mainly ditches. Fortunately, we're not aware of any flooding that actually affected people's homes or garages. A lot of what happened is it ended up in ditches down the storm pipe or on yards. And that's very inconvenient at a minimum. It's a little bit, let's just call it inconvenient for lack of a better word. But most cases, the systems that we've built, which is to keep the water out of people's homes, off their foundations and off their garages, worked fairly well. That said, homes on Gates Mills Estates, there were about a dozen of them, were not the homes, but the yards were pretty seriously affected. They were good enough to send us a video while it was happening, so that we have a good sense of that. And we've had a few other calls from people. Dave Biggert and Chris Courtney and I met earlier this week to go through a few of those individual locations. We're going to get back to all the residents that have called us to make sure that they know that we're aware of their issue, and if there are things that we can do, we're happy to do those. In many cases, frankly, the system, while it's inconvenient, worked the way it's supposed to, which is keep the water out of people's homes. And but that doesn't mean that their yards aren't messed up and they're not wet and soggy. They can't cut their grass. Number two, the state, the SRO grant was signed by Mayfield Schools last month. This is the agreement between Mayfield Schools and Gates Mills that wherein the school district pays for one of our police officers to work the 180 days at the school, and we're reimbursed for that payroll cost. So you approved that last meeting. We had that approved by the school district, so that's done. We did meet earlier this week in a second meeting with the Mayfield Elementary School PTC, who on September 21st is going to sponsor what they've cutely called the Foxtrot. This will be a 5K race. We haven't done one in Gates Mills in about 10 years. They're contracting with Hermes, the professional firm that does races and does all the scoring and the clocks and the GPS buttons and so on. And obviously, we'd like to support that. So it's going to be kind of a combination race of money for the PTC as well as a little bit of a fun run. There'll be a 5K and there'll also be a mile walk or a mile jog for those that don't want to put on their running shoes. So we thank the PTC for bringing that back to the village. We met with police chief and fire chief and everybody else, and it'll be on a Sunday morning. Encore. I met with the chairman of the board of Encore this morning, as well as with one of his assistants. We're going to probably have one more Encore event sometime in late September, October, when their artists and residents are back in town. I asked them for a written report that I could share with council, which they'll provide to me over the next several weeks, and we'll have that for you in your August packets. In terms of the summer concert, senior services, back over on item A, and back to the agenda. We had our second meeting in July of potential senior services. We had a few additional people joined in addition to those that joined last time. The sense of the group is that a combination of services that are provided through the structure of the Community Partnership on Aging, which has a breadth of services and proven delivery mechanisms, combined with some re-energized effort from the village and the village organizations, such as the Community Club, the Improvement Society, the Friends of the Library, the Garden Club, et cetera, could all be pushed together. If you think of kind of Venn diagrams that may combine, there are some services that clearly overlap. There are some that we could do ourselves, and there are some that we need to rely on others to do. But that there's a need for a framework that has some process and some discipline to it. We can't just rely on a few volunteers to make a few phone calls. That's kind of what we do now, and we haven't done much in the last 4 or 5 years. There was also a desire to see what kind of services are really needed. People at the meeting were very concerned about what's the cost of this. We haven't had this in the past, and we haven't been able to afford it in the past. Why now? And we looked back at the survey that came with the comprehensive plan, and there was only one question that dealt with amenities with seniors. And so out of a very long questionnaire, there was one question on senior services. 57% of the people that responded at that time 3 years ago, they were satisfied, meaning 43% were not satisfied. But we don't know what they were satisfied with or dissatisfied with. So the group agreed that we would all submit some survey questions, that we would ask Jean and Robin to pull these together, and that we would send out a survey within the village with the kinds of questions that would be more probing before as we move forward. So that has been good. There's also a desire to make sure that we're not just completing the survey, but that we're out already starting to talk this up with people. This will be our second meeting, so we'll have our third meeting in the August timetable, and would like to bring this to council sometime, in the early fall, so we could either get started in the fall or make sure it's in the budget process for 2026. Several of you were at those meetings, and David, were there any further comment on that?
No, I think there was a conversation about two aspects of services for seniors, particularly. One was socialization, things they could go to do, play cards, do some exercise, whatever. But there's also the whole question of welfare. How do we assist elderly people living in their own homes, possibly alone, who need actual assistance at the house? So I think the questionnaire responses you're going to get from the people who are there will differentiate between those two kinds of services, I think. One I call safety, the other I call socialization. And both are a good idea, but the safety seems to me to be essential.
Thank you. Okay, item B, the sidewalk project. We have, with Chris Courtney's firm, moved forward on some of the specs for that. We don't have those for council yet to approve in terms of going out for bids, but we're trying to finalize the specs on the lighting, the signage, and the placement. Item C, the water fountain is in and it's bubbling. This is the fountain that the combined racket, we'll call it pickleball, tennis, and racquetball folks all wanted. Most of the money, about $9,000 of the $10,000, was raised by volunteer contributions. We've thanked each of those individuals with individual letters and postcards, which they appreciated getting. We bought an LK system that provides water to both players, to water bottles, and even to the dogs. So we've also bought a system that is a well-known, reputable manufacturer, so that as there's service repairs, we're not looking in the yellow pages for someone that happens to service something that we bought on the internet and 5 years ago and don't know how to get it fixed. So it's up and it's looking good. Our service department did some of the work that they could do in terms of preparing the ground, laying the concrete and the piping and so on. So it's behind the new bathrooms right by the tennis courts. Take a walk down at some time. I think you'll enjoy it. Item D, the 4th of July parade and celebration. Great parade. For those of you that were there, for those of you that missed it, we'll see you next year. It'll be our 200th anniversary next year. We had a record number of crowds and participants. This year, we had 2 bagpipe bands as well as the whole Mayfield School Band. We had the Calliope at the end of the parade. We were fortunate to have a 1927, Tom, Aaron's Fox fire engine that drove itself, was delivered here on a flatbed, and it's owned by a Clevelander and his family who live here. And they brought it out of the museum and brought it to the parade, and it was quite a spectacular achievement. By the way, the Calliope needs a home. We need somebody in the village, if they happen to have a barn that has a 9-foot 2-inch clearance, that we could slide the Calliope in and take it out 2 times a year. That would be great. The barn that it's been in no longer exists, and we need to, if we can, for the benefit of the parade, find a place for it. So I'll make that request. The summer concert is this Sunday, July 20th at 5:30 on the Village Green. This has always been a very informal, fun afternoon. So bring your picnic basket. Tables and chairs and such will be set up by the service department. Hopefully the weather will be agreeable and we can have it outside rather than inside. And the 25 priorities, 2 things are happening there on item F. A, you have the little sheet I gave of those that we chose not to do anything with. And B, we are preparing internally a quick mid-year update on where we are with the priorities. We had presented those in kind of a grid to you several months ago with a grading of how far along we are. We thought some communication to our residents without a big booklet, but some sense of how we were doing on all the different priority areas would be helpful to keep them posted on progress we're making. I'll stop with that. Any questions? There are about 10 topics there. Any questions for me or Janet or anybody on the staff? David?
On the sidewalk project, I think there were 3 neighbors you hadn't yet spoken to about whether they agreed to do it or not, be involved in.
Right.
Was that resolved?
We're still working with them.
Thank you.
There's no issue. There's just no, I just can't mark it closed.
Okay.
How are we going to resolve the priority issues that we talked about a minute ago?
We're going to read those in about an hour at the end of our scheduled
Great.
stuff and have discussion, and you guys can direct me differently if you want to. Yep. Thank you. Okay, financial report.
Put right there. I'm on, yes? You all have the financial report that's been distributed. It's detailed. When I looked at it, I was looking more at the 6 months. It's clear to me that the real estate revenue will not meet the budget. On the other hand, the income tax revenue will exceed the budget by about the same amount. So we'll come out fine on those 2. The third big item we have is traffic cameras, and the revenue is going to be down on the traffic cameras. It's really a cause of celebration, actually, because we're not in the collecting fines business. We're in the slowing down traffic business, and there's a correlation. In terms of our other big income item, which is investment return, those numbers are really quite spectacular when you look back over the last several years. Because interest rates were low, they're higher now. We have in the next 13 or 14 months, $1.5 million that's going to mature, and we will roll that into 10-year agencies on the ladder. And today, those 10-year agencies are 5%. So we'll be coming off $1.5 million of below 1% and putting on 5%. So that'll be a help. And it looks to me like we might be double the projection in the income tax revenue. So those numbers are all good. when we
You-
look at
you- You meant interest, not
Pardon?
income tax, interest income.
interest
revenue.
income, yeah.
So you said income tax.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
interest income, no.
Doubling $2.5 million would be
Yeah, no, income
heroic.
tax will be up. Real estate tax, as I said, will be down, which confuses a lot of people because everybody talks about how their tax bill has gone up. But I inquired about that and I discovered that people who had tax bills that went down are not walking around the neighborhood bragging about it. So and it is cut both ways.
But there was a general reassessment, and the assessment was in the upward direction, not in the downward direction. So wouldn't you expect on balance, we'd have more rather than
Well,
less?
and I do expect we'll have a little more, but we forecast we'd have $250,000 more, and we're not going to get that. If you look at our first half, can we count on the first half as being predictive of the year? For the last 5 years, first half has always been 55% of the total, 54.5, 55.5. And I looked at that, I did a sample of 100 homes, and what I discovered is about 15% of the homeowners in Gates Mills pay both bills at the beginning. They pay the full year, so that's caused the number to be a little skewed. The other interesting revenue category that you'll see here is the thing called miscellaneous. And if you look at the bottom of the page, you will see the explanation of that. Those are expenses that we incurred last year, storms and sewers and water main breaks and things like that, that got reimbursed to us by the state and the county and the water company, et cetera. So just in looking at this overall, I'm ready to say we're in very good shape. Our revenues in the first 6 months were $4,179,000 against expenses of $3,249,000 for a surplus of $929,000. We moved a lot of money from the general fund into the specialized fund, so general fund will be down a little bit, but overall, I think that the ship of state is sailing along very well.
Thank you, Chuck. Two other things. We did check with Rita over the last several days. They've confirmed that the $2,415,000 budget that we put together is reasonable and that we should be right about at that number. The real estate taxes that Chuck mentioned, the reason we're not right on the dollar is those this year with the reappraisal and the certification that was required of the county numbers by the state, those numbers weren't available to the villages or any villages until late January. That number usually comes in late December, and it tells you exactly how many dollars you'll get, and that's why we're always on budget for real estate taxes. So we did have to guess, Michael, we guessed $250,000 higher without the benefit of knowing how the final number would come in. We'll be within 1% or 2%. Any other questions on the financials? Okay, thank you. Okay, Beth, anything on the clerk's report?
No report.
Okay, thank you. Chuck, anything else on the treasurer's report? Okay, thank you. Chief Minicello, Police Department report, please.
Good evening, everybody. Council should have received a copy of my monthly report. I'll be happy to take any questions you might have. While you're kind of milling that over, just a couple things I wanted to add. Tomorrow, actually, we just got the notice of this here this morning, but the speed cameras out of Mayfield will be down for about 4 hours. They're gonna go ahead and remove those. They have to recalibrate those every 1 year, so they'll be doing that tomorrow. So we'll be out there assisting with traffic on Mayfield while they remove the cameras. They'll take them into Mayfield Village where they do the radar calibrations, and they'll come back and put them back up. So probably between, I'm going to say 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. tomorrow, they'll be down on the service. And the other thing I would mention, I filled the mayor in on this yesterday. We've identified who we believe will be a really nice addition to the department. An officer we hope to bring on, in the next 30 days. And it's been a kind of a long process, and it's been budgeted in for since the beginning of the year. And it's kind of been a long process. Went through some people, and we're kind of zeroing in on this particular gentleman, and we're going through the background proceedings with him now, make sure everything checks okay.
think I would just add that the person that is our finalist has not gone through a long process. The process of hiring additional policemen has been a long process, close to 10 months. The volume of candidates out there is slim. When you run them through all the different tests and certifications, you get a little different color sometimes on the person's performance. There were two that we previously provided probationary offers or something of that ilk that we had to revoke. And so it's tough to find first responders. We think we've got one in the gentleman that the chief just referred to. Okay. Any questions? Greg?
Number three, the portable radio grant. Okay, yes, so there is the Justice Assistant Grant, JAG grant. So it's money from the government passed on to the state, and we could apply for. It's earmarked for radios, portable radios, computers, things like that. So we were eligible up to $20,000, I believe. So that was put together by Sergeant Hostowski. He submitted that, and recipients will be announced here in the fall. So we think there's a good chance that we'll receive some funding for that.
One question, in the fire department report, there's an MVC, junction of Mayfield and Chagrin River Road, with injuries. Was that caused by speed?
Oh, I think that was the one, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not looking at Tom's report. If that's the one I'm thinking of, no, it was a minor injury accident. Actually, it was somebody who stopped at the red light and somebody who came down and hit the vehicle from the back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Yep.
That'll conclude my report. Thank you.
Dave, Service Department report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. You should have received a brief monthly report from the Service Department. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. One thing I would like to just bring to your attention or highlight is John Pata, our Assistant Service Manager, reached his 25th year with the Service Department in the village last month, and got his name put on the plaque for those that have served 25 years. So, he's done a wonderful job for us. Yes.
Two questions, Dave. First of all, I think P and Z deserves congrats on doing a great job on the Spurk property. They negotiated a very reasonable deal that allows Spurk to go ahead and also preserves the interests of the village. So hats off to the P&Z. Second of all, I know we've had a problem getting people to follow some of our rules. In particular, for some of the small permits, you need to do things. There's another instance of that this week. In 2 or 3 houses up north of me, up on County Line, there were 4 trucks cutting trees for 8 hours, no permit. So Dave's taking a look into it. I doubt we can save the trees at this stage of the game, but there must have been a fair amount of them taken out with four trees and about 6 or 8 guys, and they were there all day long.
Well, that's unfortunate. We have the ordinances, we publicize the ordinances, we prosecute ordinance violations. And unfortunately, when somebody shows up like that, and they can do a lot of damage in a half a day.
I wonder if people always know about the ordinances and know that you have to get, for example, if you're going to cut a bunch of trees, how do you know that if you just moved in and you're building a new house? It's happened on both sides of me. It happened on Graygill Chase, where they clear cut a 5-acre lot, literally clear cut it. And I don't know how bad this one is. I haven't been back there to see it, but they certainly put a lot of manpower into it.
We do have welcome packets for new villagers, and we have talked about trying to highlight some of the important ordinances that people need to be aware of. Maybe it's time to kind of revisit that again with some of these highlights.
I would say, there is a tendency, and I'm sure it's not everybody, future homeowners in the village, I've had 2 today, and a fair amount. I mean, there's no way for me to say how many there are of new. Do contact me and talk about, we're planning to do this. What do I need to know? You know, what are the biggies? And again, I had 2 of those conversations today of people potentially buying in the village. And, you know, this is what, if we buy that, you know, we want to do this to the house. Do I need a permit? Do I not? And, you know, trees are, hillside riparians are always some of the things I try to highlight just to give them a heads up. But I'm sure we're not reaching 100% of those.
Right,
people,
that's the
so.
point. That's the point. I mean, and most people move here because they like the
Sure,
environment and the
sure,
trees, but
Sure.
again, it doesn't hurt. It is an issue and it's an important.
And because of that, you would think that might trigger the question, you know, I love my lot, but what, you know, so.
There was another similar situation on the corner of Glenwood and Chagrin River Road. 3 very large trees were
Right.
cut down. And I'm not clear in my own mind whether they needed permits, whether they had permits, whether it was a safety issue. I have no idea.
Well, I tried to explain.
On for a second.
Yeah,
It was done on a weekend.
Right.
And I think with cutting trees, the notion that forgiveness is easier than permission. There's a bit of that around too. If I cut the tree down, what are they going?
Right. I don't.
And the answer is
disagree.
not much.
Okay,
You don't need a permit to cut down like dead trees, right?
No,
So this is just when you're putting in when you're doing something that's,
significant.
okay,
something significant. There's a size 16 inches or something.
Anything above 9 inches. You're allowed 2 healthy trees of any size per calendar year.
Yeah.
You're allowed without a permit. You're allowed anything that's dead, diseased, or dying without a permit.
okay.
You're allowed any dangerous trees that are like right above your house that in a storm's gonna come down and crush it without a permit. Now, I always preface that, you know, people say, well, I got 40 dead trees. It's like, well, okay, hold on a minute. We need to look at that first and then determine if really a permit needs to be issued.
And I think most residents aren't capable of deciding whether a tree is diseased or not.
But
Before they cut it down.
the companies, well, if you use a company, they'll usually come out and
Usually,
tag them all and then.
if you
yeah,
ask them.
That's the key, if you ask.
If you ask, yeah.
If there are no other questions, that concludes my report.
Okay, we put down tree cutting, so we'll take a look at that. A couple quick things on that. Heels of that report, the construction work the road paving work is substantially complete. All the county roads have been, I think, repaired and striped already. We're ahead of schedule compared to where we were in the past. We've done that intentionally, you'll recall, to try to get all the county work in which we're subject to some level of reimbursement done by Labor Day so we could apply and hopefully be reimbursed before the snow falls. In the past, there was about a year lag. So thanks to Chris Courtney and his team for moving things around and up. Hill Creek and Andrews, Chris told me the other day the repairs are all done.
All the repairs are right.
So perhaps by the end of July, all the road work will be done. Guardrails are right behind it. Anything else on the roads?
Can I ask one more question on the planning and zoning thing? And it's just for clarification, when I was reading this. When you talk about resident, because this seems to have a theme going through a bunch of things that we're going to talk about, but when you talk about an individual lot, and one of the things that seems to be a common thread that goes through everything is that there's one dwelling on a lot. When a lot is really big, how do you address like carriage houses and that type of thing? Because a lot of the houses around here have carriage houses, and to me, it was confusing. If you have a carriage house or you've got a guest house or you've got that, isn't that 2 dwellings?
Well, so I think the properties you might be aware of that have a carriage house, those are grandfathered, if you will. They're really non-conforming until they try to do something. So a large lot, correct, you can't have 2 homes on one parcel. So anyone that comes in and says, I'm going to build this barn and it's going to be a guest house, has to get a variance through the Planning and Zoning Commission, which in the past has not been successful.
So so a large property, 25.
25 acres, one
and
house.
They just want to put a guest house and they won't do it. That's interesting. Okay.
Not without a variance.
And the variances aren't generally approved?
Generally not,
Interesting.
for the most part. The ones that have come in those instances have 2 or 3. Right. Right. Right.
Oh, so they could just split off 5 acres and
Right.
put another one on there and have another address?
Theoretically, right. Normally, they want it a little closer to the main house but I mean, theoretically, you could do it that way, but to put a second house on
And then
the
there
same.
has to be a buildable lot too. I mean, you make quite
Right.
a lot of property,
Right,
but some of it is ravine and not buildable.
Right.
So that acreage.
It would have to have, the frontage on the
frontage.
street,
Yep.
200 feet, I think we
Correct.
require.
Mhm.
So you couldn't split off a back lot without getting a frontage requirement. So there are some constraints you have to follow.
Interesting. So when people already have it and they're grandfathered in and they want to do something in their house, they don't have to rip down the carriage house?
No, they have to, no, so if they want to, say, do an addition to the guest house, then they would need to come in and ask permission to expand or change a non-conforming use.
Okay.
From the planning. and
And
zoning.
maybe just to add on a piece of that, John, great question. And, a lot of this stems from the fact that residents in the village generally don't want renters and transients in the village. And so when you end up with a bunch of large parcels that now have guest houses, the fire department, safety forces may not know that those are there. They may not know that people are in them. And now you've kind of got people coming and going. And so residents generally don't like the idea of multiple homes on a property that are being rented out, or people that are working there, or what have you. So that's kind of where a lot of that stuff, the ordinances that were put in place, more recently, a lot of the homes
Right.
that you see that have that, or like that are on county line back, that all those homes they don't have any frontage. All the ordinances that have been passed since then would prohibit anyone from doing that today.
It's interesting because like even my house has got an apartment over the garage. And, it's been there since I moved in and, I thought, well, wait a minute, is that like not legal?
Non-conforming.
Yeah.
It's non-conforming at this point. Now, if you go to remodel it, then that would need to come in front of planning and zoning to grant permission for you to renovate that.
Interesting.
Or if you put it on Airbnb, I think we have another, regulation that deals with that issue.
Correct.
30-day minimum.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fire department report, please.
One
Thank you, Dave.
question.
Yeah.
I keep being asked by people what's happening at 6:40. A month ago, we had continuation of the hearing and we came to some
A
sort
a provisional building permit is being prepared right now for 6:40.
and does the 9 months run from the day it's issued or from the
Yes.
day of the hearing?
No, date it's issued.
So we're still waiting.
Well, as
When
we
do we expect
all
that permit
discussed,
ready?
until there was an approval, it was hard to line up contractors, hard to line up supplies, hard to order goods, hard to get workers to work when you didn't know when the start date was. So in 30 days, they've arranged all that and they've come to us for a conditional building permit.
Okay, and we'll still be 9 months.
Dave?
Yeah, that's what
9
was
months.
decided, correct.
Right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Tom.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I've given you a copy of my written report. 2 highlights to add. Number 1, we promoted 9 firefighters to firefighter engineer status, our first-class firemen, on July 4th. And we've started to upgrade some of our water rescue equipment. We recently purchased updated life vests and throw bags to add to our complement. I'll entertain any questions from council.
I will say it was a pleasure on July 4th to swear in further 9 individuals who have had an average service of over 10, maybe 15 years, who achieved the status of firefighter-engineer, which is a technical designation. These are all men and, in this case, men, there were no women at this point, but all have achieved additional training and certification to handle the equipment, and also are now in their senior status able to teach our cadets some of the skills that they have. So that was actually a fun time on 9:30 on July 4th morning. And they were very proud. And we happen to have a beautiful old 100-year-old fire truck to take a picture of. So thank you, Tom, for putting that together.
The natural gas leak, that was at the residence, or was that one of the, there's a gas well on Gates Mills Boulevard, I think. Is that just somebody's,
I believe that
Connection leaking.
that was at somebody's residence
okay.
that we checked. The previous month, we did have one on Carpenter Road that we checked and found leaking.
That was a well,
Yes.
right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee updates. Let's start with the tree canopy if we can, Sandra.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak to one of the resolutions that are in your packet, 2025-29. It comes from the Tree Canopy Committee coming out of their July 9th or July 8th committee meeting, and building on a decision that the Land Conservancy made at their last meeting as well. If you look at the map that I sent this morning, it kind of highlights two village parcels that the Tree Canopy Committee is recommending for invasives removal. And these two properties are the pump station, and there's another village-owned property that adjoins the Land Conservancy property along Mayfield Road. One of the concepts for invasives removal is sharing information among landowners and working cooperatively to prevent and control invasive species. So the more continuous properties that you're able to work on, the better chance of preventing the spread of those plants. So currently, if we think about the corner of River Road and Mayfield, we've got the pump station on the corner, the Gates Mills Land Conservancy property, they call it Locanti because that was a prior owner. You've got about 22 acres of private property, and across the street is another Gates Mills Land Conservancy property, Merkel. It's already part of our four properties in the pilot program. So we're really excited that the Land Conservancy has taken on the Locanti property as one that they want to remove invasives. They contracted with Better Meadows and Woodlands, and actually I asked Brian Kukda, who's the president, to be here today in case you had any additional questions. So what we're suggesting is kind of completing that corner by including the 2.52 acres of the pump station and the other village property along Mayfield Road for 4.94. The cost for that is $4,800. Our original request from the village council for this first year of treatment of invasives was about $88,200. To date, we've spent $46,645, and that includes the total cost for Better Meadows and Woodlands for the four pilot projects. We haven't paid them all. We paid about $18,000, but we've kind of budgeted the whole amount. So we certainly have $4,800 to do that. We think it's an advantage to do that because again, it kind of cleans up that corner. It's going to make Mayfield Road look a lot better. It's contiguous. It's kind of collaborating with our Gates Mills Land Conservancy partners. And it represent continuous progress in our effort to remove invasives. So that's kind of, again, the combination of a report and the resolution. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
This is more procedural than anything else. And I mean this, I don't mean this negatively. I mean, my question is why we need to vote on this. If you are a committee and you have a budget, what separates this from just the committee? Because I trust the committee, I'm not on it, And I feel like if I vote on something and I'm not on that committee, if I was voting on it, I probably should be on that committee, but I'm not on it. What separates this out versus just using budget that we've already?
So the practice that council has put forth is monies spent from the Land Conservation Fund from which this would come. They wanted to approve all those dollars.
Oh, so this is a special exception. So generally speaking, if you have a budget, you use the committee uses the budget as they see. No.
No, yeah, and
No.
we did,
State law and village law requires all contracts, expenditure of money be approved by council.
and we,
Committees don't have authority to spend.
No.
Even if they have the budget.
And they have to come back, when they spend the budget, they need to talk to council about what they spent on.
and I think the other reason among us and on the committee was that we came to council with a pilot project that included 4 parcels. And this was an additional 2 parcels, and we really didn't want to, we didn't want to move forward without approval and have, the work being done and then council saying, oh, we didn't know about that. So it's transparency.
Okay.
So you add all that, plus the fact that it's conservation funds, that's why we're here tonight.
Okay.
Any questions on this, David?
I had something, yeah, just add something. You may recall we applied to the county for a grant for some tree planting. The deadline for the award of those grants was the 6th of July. They had so many applications that they've deferred that now till July the 31st, which is Thursday, I think. So we won't hear whether we're successful or not until then. Just want you to know that.
Do we have any questions for Brian, who's here? Because we appreciate you coming all the way from across town, Brian.
And he's going out of town too, so I promised him he'd be out of here before 6:30.
I do have one question, if I may, Brian. When ideally would you start doing this additional work?
So the proposed work was kind of 2 parts on this because the village parcels there are so bad. Like if you drive down the treatment lane, the water treatment lane, it's just a wall on either side of it. So the best way to tackle that would be to clear that out, similar to we did on the Merkel property. And if you've driven by there lately, especially like the porcelain berry on that Merkel property is growing back, which is what we want, then we can go in there and make a herbicide application and have better success. So that is what we proposed on the 2 village parcels there. So we want that regrowth to come up. That will allow us to kill more of those invasives. A lot of times if you just cut something down, it'll resprout and you have a root system that's supporting a car-sized shrub. And now you have, 10 leaves. So the surface area for the herbicide to do its job isn't there. So the earlier the better. I believe the Land Conservancy received a grant and I'm hoping to get in there to do the clearing as soon as that is all finalized this month. So like I said, the earlier the better on that. The more growing season we have after that clearing, the better.
So this money will be spent this year.
As of,
Well, and that's why we put the resolution on an emergency, because we thought it would be good for him to be able to do it when he's doing the Land Conservancy property.
So you also want to suspend this free rule.
Suspend the free reading.
So we'll do that later on the agenda unless you want to do that now.
Might as well do it now since. we're
I'll move to
talking about it.
suspend.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Craig. Any discussion on suspending the rules?
So I'll just report from the Land Conservancy meeting, Land Conservancy already approved and so I know that Brian's outfit is ready to move on Land Conservancy's property. It would be easier and more economical while they're there, they can tackle all. I think that's a timing issue that justifies not doing readings with this.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Vote on the suspension motion, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes,
We have a motion to approve resolution 2529.
So moved.
Thank you, Craig.
Second.
Thank you, Scott? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton.
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes,
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and
Thank you,
Council.
Brian. Safe travels.
have a
Thank you,
good
Brian.
trip.
Thanks a bunch.
Anything else on the tree canopy committee?
No, not at this
Okay.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, so we're halfway through what was budgeted,
Mm.
and based on what was just said, I mean, do we have the rest of those dollars earmarked
No,
to be spent
no, you mean for other items?
for the other half of what was
No,
budgeted?
The only thing, we did have Judy Semrock come on too, and she's a biologist. We did have her come on to the two of the pilot project sites just to kind of look for what, identify some of the biology that was there so that we could kind of compare after the invasives were removed. And we were talking about whether we want her to come on site at the others. But again, her costs are, $400, $600. So no, we don't have any other plans for another spend. If we save it, that's great.
Okay.
Okay, the broadband committee will wait and hope that Lori arrives and have a report at that point. The next item is item number.
Steve, before we leave committees, where are we on the sewage integration with the Home Club? Seems to be moving along, but pretty slowly.
Well, sometimes slow is progress. We have,
Progress, yeah.
we have a planned meeting the week of the 28th to discuss with the Unclub leadership a couple items that are on the agenda. I'll just stay with that.
I do have a question that I've discussed with our assistant treasurer, and that is, which entity are we dealing with? Is it the Hunt Club or the Hunt Club Corporation? I don't know who we're dealing with. And I don't know who owns the Hunt Club. I've got no idea.
Well, we'll get you those details.
Thank you.
Okay. Ordinance 2518. This is a proposed third reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 131 Council of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills. Todd had sent to us this weekend his revisions from the last meeting. Several of us had sent comments to Todd. Todd turned some of those comments around, I think perhaps into another version. I'm going to turn this over to him at this point.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments that I got today from two council members and the mayor, so I incorporated those with an explanation as to why some of them I didn't adopt and others I did. I really do think that everyone should read through this. I don't think we're in any hurry to pass this. We don't seem to have a problem not having a quorum, not having pretty good attendance at meetings. But I'll emphasize that this only, the virtual meeting piece of it, attendance virtually, the council members, only applies to council meetings, regular meetings, special meetings, emergency meetings, council committee. With regular meetings and emergency meetings, there has to be a quorum present in person, at least 4 person. And if you're attending virtually, you can vote, but you're not counted as part of the quorum. And you can only attend virtually 3 times, 12 period. So you attend a 4th time, and you, within that preceding 12 months, you've already did virtually 3 times. You can attend, but you cannot. And with council committee meetings, only the presiding officer needs to be attending in person, so the public can attend if they wish, but all other members could attend virtually. Those are essentially the issues, how this is set. And it does open up notices or expand notices of meetings to all kinds of more up-to-date ways to notice, as well as what That's about it.
I like the verbiage. I thought it was straightforward and
So
put the onus on us to kind of, yeah, it's,
the bottom line, every meeting
yeah.
of the village, any public body, committee, commissions, boards are in person. But members can attend virtually if it's a council meeting or a council committee meeting. Did not include board and commission meetings. It's very difficult, and I've tried this over COVID times, and it's just so difficult to do those here. And we have lots of exhibits, big plans. ABR has design plans. It's just almost impossible to do it. So I did not include those boards and commissions.
So Todd, the most recent one that we have is the document management number
It's
231-5.
version 5. And I just sent it out an hour before.
Right.
But thanks for your comments today. I appreciate it. And Lori. So,
Everyone's okay with, taking a look at the revisions and coming back next month?
Real quick, Todd, is that a calendar year 12 month or this is a rolling 12 months?
rolling 12 months before your fourth time.
One question, Mr. Mayor, has there been any pushback from residents on the idea of virtual meetings?
I have had no comments or pushback from residents.
I haven't heard anything either, and I just point of clarification, virtual attendance. So the meeting isn't virtual itself, it's
And if
virtual
there's a
attendance.
virtual attendee member, then it has to be put out virtually so that the public can see it virtually or electronic.
Okay, so we'll, let's all take a look at the revisions as of today and send any further comments to Todd, and we'll have this on the agenda for August meeting. Next item is Resolution 2524, a resolution to adopt the solid waste management plan for the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District. We reported at the last meeting that the requirements of that district are that the plans be shared with all the municipalities. It's 30 or 40 some odd. Those municipalities are required to comment on the plan, hopefully approve it. And that is in front of you at this point. Yeah, please.
Since I've gone through this in 2 other communities already, there's a deadline of August 11th to make a decision. 60%, those political subdivisions within Cuyahoga County, meaning the 2 townships and all the other corporations, 60% of the population of Cuyahoga County has to. They're not quite at that as of 2 weeks ago, whether they're at that level. Now, it really means no increase in fees. They tack on a $2 per ton fee onto all waste hauling. So that is incorporated into what is paid by residents for trash collection. Spoke. And that is that is the lowest rate in the state. $2. Some of them are as high as $5, $6. So it's a little more information. I think we did invite the director of the solid waste district to come make the presentation. I've seen that twice now. So maybe I can answer.
Given that we need to have an answer for our next meeting, we've had it's on second reading right now. I would move that we suspend the rules so that we vote on this.
Thank you.
Aye.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Roll call on the suspension question, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
UNESCO,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, we have a resolution to adopt the solid waste management plan for the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District.
So moved.
Thank you, Sandra.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Any further discussion on the plan? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
UNESCO,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is item number 14, and ordinance number 2527 to amend section 933.07 of the codified ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills regarding the rates and the charges for the use of the village's wastewater treatment facility services for existing and new customers. This ordinance, you will recall, is an update of the ordinance that we last approved in 2002. Since that time, the rates have not changed. There really was no need to change the rates since substantially all the flow was within the village's own buildings. With the expansion of this to the Hunt Club as well as to some of our other customers, it was timely for us to update the rates. We've also explained to you last time that we're updating the rates to follow the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District published rates rather than create our own rate or a table that would require updating and judgment, and that math is reflected here in the ordinance. It's also important for us as we apply to Ohio EPA for the design and construction loans for the consolidation of the facility that that we have an updated ordinance demonstrating the rate that will be used to collect the operating and maintenance costs by taking on someone else's facility. So this had been here at second reading. It'd be nice, frankly, if I haven't had any questions from anyone. We can suspend the rules and get this approved today. We could fill out the application a little quicker and get them in, Chris, right? Want to wait another month? That's okay too.
Two questions.
Yep.
If I might. If I understand it correctly, the old regulation, existing regulation, had two components. There was a minimum fee per month, and there was a variable fee that was based on how much sewage you put through the system. Okay? If I understand it correctly, the new version, there's only the minimum fee and no variable fee. Is that correct? And if so, why?
No, it's not.
There's a minimum fee of $100, which increases, and then the variable fee is based on the NeoSord rate.
Okay.
And it changes every year, so.
Great. I'm fine with that then. And the second question was, did we take a look at the market to see whether, obviously we need to raise our fee, no question about that. But do we do any kind of market work to see whether where we are relative to market?
So we did, we looked at various municipalities, they're all over the place. The largest provider is the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. And our residents that have access to municipal sewers, the western part of the village, they're paying the NeoSord rate. So we felt it was the appropriate rate to adopt. We already have residents that are paying that rate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
So
Please.
my legislation, can I move to suspend?
Yeah.
All right, and I would move that we suspend.
I would second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
UNESCO.
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve ordinance 2025-27.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Sandra. Thank you, Michael. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
UNESCO.
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that expedition. Next is ordinance number 2528, an ordinance to approve the current replacement pages to the Gates Mills codified ordinances. I'm going to ask Janet, she's going to deliver you a yellow pages size book here to explain how often that is and what we need to do. Janet?
We've typically updated the codified ordinance book every year. This updates the, I think, right, Todd, the traffic regulations with the states, in line with the state's
Traffic
code
in general.
and general offenses sections. And then it also brings into play any of the ordinances that we've passed since the last time we codified, to bring the book up to date. If you have a book at home, you are welcome to take one of these packets to update your book. If not, it is online.
Wow.
There are some people with, starry-eyed.
Mm-hmm. Takes a while. I did mine.
We do have at least one master copy in the village hall, so if you don't want to update your own binder, and you need to refer to it, you can come and take a look at ours.
All right, so I have some questions, mostly for Mr. Hunt. I think they've already updated it on the website, because I noticed that some of these sections just, they cite the Ohio Revised Code section, their pattern after, but they don't have a pass yet, because we haven't passed this.
Okay.
Most of these are done because Ohio Revised Code provisions change. For example, OVI penalties, license forfeitures, they change very frequently. And I know that also some of, so this would essentially make our punishments for these offenses mirror the punishments for the Ohio Revised Code.
Sometimes and sometimes. We can have a greater penalty state. We can't have.
And one impetus is, I was just thinking this through, sorry to bring this. So one impetus for us is that if someone pleads to the municipal ordinance in court, then we get fined, because if they plead to the state offense,
We only get a portion.
we get a portion to the state. So while I started to look at these individual code sections, because I'm, you know, and I thought, why am I doing this? Because if we thought there was something we have a stiff penalty, we'd have to have a really good reason, because it would be to our financial detriment. If I were a lawyer leading my client to some municipal court, I would pick on the lesser penalty. Could.
If we could. It's up to us.
Maybe up to Mr. Cicero to let amend. So,
We do amend several things to state or charge on the state if there's gonna be some type of jail time. Because otherwise we have to get some municipal. So we have very few of.
I just.
Right,
think
Chief?
I'm from the other side of the table. So is there a hurry to do this right now? About this?
I don't know. I've never been asked that question because every council 40-some years. That's it on the first. That's it on first reading, Scott.
All right.
But I appreciate your level of review and detail.
And like I said, I noticed that they've already updated it, and it just is they're just waiting to put in the past 7/15. Day after 7/16.
It's also going to update the ordinances that are not traffic offenses. There have been a few of them.
Changes here that you would advise against?
No. I just haven't had time to sit.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Like, for example, on, so as you might imagine, with kids, I'm becoming to the point where I don't like cell phones anymore, and I think they should be banished from the face of the earth. So the, committing an offense while distracted penalty, if I had my way, there'd be serious ramifications for that. But I don't know whether anyone else thinks that.
Have a
way.
discussion with the prosecutor and we could probably make some exceptions.
But right now, and all of these appear when I go to the village ordinances, they've all already been asked them.
You're not, like, coming from a position of naivete, I was thinking the exact same thing, like, first of all, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to, I'm like, well, I see the book now.
Right.
And if I was supposed to read it,
Is like this.
wow, so I had no, I'm like, how do I vote on something that I haven't read on? But I just heard a question that you asked and that I thought was, as soon as I hear money and division of money, my ears perk up. Can you clarify what was just saying? If there's an ordinance and it matches Ohio, what's that division of money?
So if you're charged with OVI, you could be charged either under the local ordinance, which it's on here 34.01, charged under the Ohio Revised Code 4511. It's 1.1.91 now, adding on to it, but and depending on which one of those, if you plead guilty or you're found guilty of the ordinance, division of money collected by the court is different. It's under the municipal ordinance, the municipality gets the lion's share of the fine. If it's under the Ohio Revised Code, then the state gets some of it, the municipality gets a smaller share.
Who decides which one it goes under?
Prosecute.
And
Our prosecutor.
our prosecutor, wouldn't they always pick ours?
Generally, yes, except if there's going to be jail time,
Oh,
because we have to pay the house.
I like that.
Jail.
That's a good.
So, in those
Okay.
instances, they're charged on the state.
So that, but if we don't have an ordinance or
We pretty
then,
much have every ordinance the state has
okay, so we do,
and more.
and more, okay.
So maybe to oversimplify, if we went through
So
here and
it
said,
also includes building code and zoning code
Sure.
violations, so that's not.
and most of these are traffic code, general offenses, things that probably go on in communities that have higher crime rates. But if we went in here and said blanket, all the fines, there's $1 more than what the state code would be, theoretically, rather than that being split, all those dollars would come to the village. Is that a fair statement that
Fair
if,
state.
And I guess, as I was thinking, if there were some things we thought worthy of review, we could ask this and then we'll go look at some individual ordinances separate. Knowing that if prosecutor was trying to get a case resolved, might be inclined to let some plead to the defense that has the lesser penalty. It's resolved. Now to our see.
Do we get a lot of money from these fines? I mean, is it a lot, are we talking a lot of dollars? No?
Out of our $7 million budget, the answer is no.
Okay.
The majority of our revenue comes from real estate taxes, income taxes, traffic cameras, and rents, and interest in.
So good sleuthing here.
Okay, so what do you want to do with this? Want to go to another reading?
No, I mean, Star Code doesn't have passed. I mean,
I think it's
you got to approve it.
Okay,
I'd
do I have
say
a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there a second?
second,
Vote on the suspension. Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Press,
yes.
Steinbrink,
yes.
Turner.
Yes.
We have a resolution to approve ordinance 2025-28.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Scott. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon.
Yeah.
Monesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. We've passed item 16 already, which was the invasive species. So we'll move on to item 17, resolution 2025-30. This is on first reading. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Municipal Collections of America for collection agency services. Starting in a number of months ago, Janet, the chief, I, and Detective Sergeant Mike Day interviewed 3 or 4 collection agencies around the country that could assist us in the collection of judgments issued by the Lyndhurst Court for individuals that failed to take notice of the first and second notices and pay their traffic enforcement tickets. That process is now ready soon to begin collection efforts. We selected the Municipal Collections of America organization, a company based in Illinois with operations around the country, as they specialize particularly in collection of traffic and similar parking, speeding, etc. violations. They're quite familiar with all the state laws that they participate in. They're particularly well informed on what they can and can't do as a collection agency, what they can and can't talk to individuals about, and what the state of Ohio allows collection agencies as well as municipalities to do to pursue collections of those that fail to respond to the first and second notices. We asked them for a proposal, which they've given us. We've asked them for a contract, which they've given us. Contract's been reviewed by us from a business standpoint. It's been reviewed by Todd, who also approves it. And I put together for you this weekend with Greg and Janet's okay, an example of what the fees would be without a collection agent and what they would be with a collection agency. You may have questions on that. We'd be happy to respond to those. In short, this fee would be on top of the fine that the speeder already has. So there'd be no less income for us, Gatso or Lyndhurst. This would be on top of what the fine already is based on their level of speeding. They believe that their collection efforts will produce an additional 20% of the cases turned over to them. We believe that without collection efforts, we've been able to collect about 67% of the fines that have been assessed, 55% generally on first pass, 12% on second pass, a total of 67, leaving 33 able to collect. And if they can collect 20% of those, that gets us to a collection effort that's just about 70-some%, which everybody feels reasonable that we're not too high or too low on those estimates. So what we need are 2 things. We'll need a resolution authorizing us to enter into this contract with MCOA. And we will also need to come back to you with an amendment to the ordinance. We sent it off to Todd, but I don't think that's been updated yet. That Mike Cicero has been working with the court to allow us to do this with the right language. We need to kind of conform some of the language of civil penalty, fine, collection cost, collection agency fee. There's some nomenclature, I would call it, that needs to be kind of conformed. And Mike is helping us do that, and we'll get that over to Todd. Todd, is that a fair update?
Yeah, I believe so. The final contract that we negotiated was sent out on Friday. So you should have that. There is an ordinance that Prosecutor Michael Cicero wants to clear through the Lyndhurst Municipal Court judge. He said he would meet with him tomorrow. Didn't anticipate a problem, but felt that it was necessary to run the language of our ordinance that Mike has drafted past the judge. So we can take that up in ordinance.
Essentially, well, should we move at least to have a discussion about?
Well, we have a question right now. We have questions.
This is only authorizing the mayor to enter into the contract. He doesn't have to
Have a
sign it
contract,
right
okay.
away.
So, any fees that the MCOA collects is really out of their their additional fine, because bottom line, we're gonna get 100% of what the fine was, so whatever their additional.
We'll get our similar percentage of what
And
we
if
had negotiated with Gatso, said so.
But the better outcome is that the person does, the person who's delinquent pays the fee and we're gonna get more. We get a percentage, or we get the fee, the fine, as well as a percentage of the collection.
Yeah, so some may say, well, what are they doing for their money? Number one, they have much more thorough databases than we or Gatso has. Most of what a lot of what they do, I shouldn't say most, but a fair amount of what they do is chase down the bad addresses.
Okay.
Addresses that come with license plates may not be accurate, people may have moved, et cetera. They've got the systems and the wherewithal to chase those down and to make those collection calls.
Okay, good. I
Michael?
have a second
Have
question.
you considered adding some discretion to this? I mean, to me, sticking a collection agency on somebody is a relatively draconian thing to do. I'd be more inclined to do it for repeat offenders than I would for one-time offenders. Have you thought about something like that?
We've asked them if they essentially grade the offenders, you know, those speeding at a higher level, those that have a bad driving record, those out of state versus in-state, et cetera. They essentially said, we'll treat all of them the same. I don't think they're going to apply any particular judgment to files that we give.
I had a second,
We will give them the files. They will only pursue those that we send.
I
So
know,
if
but
we-
you
if we
screw up
choose-
somebody's credit rating, that's a fairly serious matter. And as we all know, these traffic cams are somewhat controversial. Not everybody thinks they're a good idea. The state doesn't like it. I ought to perhaps consider exercising a bit of discretion.
and a second question. When we started out with Gatso, there was a lot of difficulty in coordinating the computer systems between the Lyndhurst Court and Gatso.
Right.
And that, I don't know if it surprised all of us, but it was a real delay, you know, in getting the program up and running. What do we know about the potential for these two systems to coordinate? Is that, I mean, maybe that's yet to be determined, but it should at least be something that we.
So the second notices,
consider.
thank you, it's a fair question. The second notices have been going out routinely. We started with small batches and then increased the batches. They're all up to date on this, all the second notices. We've tried, we have, since we haven't done anything with collections, we have a system that's going into place. We'll give the people so you don't respond to the second notice. There'll be a judgment by the court. The person by Ohio state law has, I believe, 30 days to appeal that decision, which means we can't begin collection efforts for those 30 days. At the 31st day, if they haven't satisfied it or objected, then we will turn it over to the collection agency and the collection agency will do its job.
Okay.
So there is another period to go there.
I'm concerned about the technology of one system communicating with the other, which was the problem I was pointing out. And
MCOA does deal with Census Gatso
Do they?
already.
okay,
Yeah,
If that
and part of that issue was Lyndhurst Court was
Lyndhurst-
changing their software.
yeah.
To what extremes does the agency go to collect the fees? I mean, are they calling people up in the middle of the night? Are they calling their employers? I mean, how extreme is this?
It's I would say it's soft collection efforts. They know what the state of Ohio will permit and not permit. There are things that you cannot do as a collection agency in the state of Ohio that you could do in other locations. You'll follow state law.
So if I'm interpreting that right, just to paraphrase it, you're saying they can do whatever the law of the state of Ohio allows, but no more.
That's correct.
So what does the state of Ohio allow?
I do not, I don't do what.
We'll get you
It'd be
that.
interesting to know that before we vote on it.
I used a collection agency at my business and that Ohio was pretty restrictive, to be honest with you. And we would use different collection agencies across the country because we had national presence, but Ohio was one of the more, soft's actually a pretty good word. We didn't have great success with them because they were usually against any kind of, it was rare that they were against individual. They're always against corporations and those. don't do well. But anytime it was against an individual, they were decent. But you know, the one thing I'll counter with whether or not this is something we should do is, from my point of view, is if it was a normal ticket, they wouldn't be able to get out of it. So if they were speeding down, you know, I have a pet peeve about people speeding down Mayfield Road. So if they're speeding down Mayfield Road and it was a normal ticket that was given by a normal officer, there is no way to get out of that. I mean, you're gonna pay that ticket, or you're gonna have your license suspended and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and next time you get pulled over. So, you know, pay the ticket. It's, you know, the reasonable rates and I was just explaining this to yesterday, because to someone that there were two different ways that, you know, you could go about getting a ticket from an automated camera, and that was either through the court system or not in the court system. We use the court system. So, you know, we're actually burdening the court. We're doing all this stuff. They're speeding, you know, so I'm a little bit on the, you know, pay the ticket side, but I also really just hate Mayfield Road too. So.
Okay, again, let's recall this is under first reading. David, questions?
The resolution doesn't explicitly say that this applies to the Mayfield Road traffic camera program. Is that the objective here, that that's purely the realm of this agreement? And I guess the contract will need to be specific. It doesn't mention Mayfield Road at all. Is that deliberate, or?
I think that if they plan to put more cameras in, it would be for anybody who got it.
Yeah, well, it's not specific what it applies to. It can apply to anybody who is not paying their bills to the village. Correct.
Oh.
Well, it's based on,
It's not what this collection agent.
no. It's based on the file that we give them. We'll give
File
them,
that they give.
the village will give them the file of traffic enforcement tickets that have not paid through their second notice and have not gone through the 30 days.
Just on Mayfield Road.
Just cameras,
What?
camera system.
Yeah. So it's very limited. I mean, does this contemplate going after other people who owe the village money?
No.
No, well, it should be explicit then. That's all I'm saying. Make it explicit.
If you've got a word or two you want to mark up, send them over. We can mark it up.
Yeah, sure.
Just
Yeah, Craig.
one comment, probably more for Todd, is just to make sure that Census Gatso doesn't think or isn't under the impression that they're going to get their percentage of that additional fine or administrative charge on top of that. Because I don't have the contract in front of me, but when we negotiated that, the language on collections was a little squishy, and just to make sure that they don't think, they're not under the impression that, no, the split applies on the total.
The only other thing, we had three of them in the office the other day. The only other benefit that they get is $1.38, Craig? $1.35. Essentially postage and mailing.
Yeah.
There's no change in the split. There's no different definition of what's subject to this split. Lori,
So Steve, when the collection notice goes out, the second notice, will it indicate that you could be subject to collection if you don't pay?
does the second notice currently say that? The second notice?
Second notice of fair,
That's good. Okay. So people know.
And then when there's the judgment, after that period of time, it essentially gives them 30 days and it's a default judgment. So, and they have 30 days to rectify that. So there's a lot of time to, if you didn't get it, you lost your mail, didn't get around to it on vacation, there's time to catch up with it.
If we decide to put traffic cameras at other locations in the village, as Hunting Valley and some other municipalities have done, would you propose to use the collection agency on that as well?
I think we would want to see how they do for us, frankly. This is an annual contract. We can cancel this on an annual basis. And I don't think we would need to go and get a second one. If they're doing a good job, let's stay with them. If they're not, if something that we've heard doesn't get delivered the way it is, or the execution isn't good, we should look elsewhere.
Janet, you said that they already are working with some other, did you say they're already working with other
Greg probably knows.
Getso clients? Okay, and their experience has been?
good.
Thank you.
Steve, John just advised me that this company, this collection company, only does camera
In the contract.
tickets.
Well, they do other traffic items. I mean, they do just,
Oh, traffic.
so for example,
I said that wrong.
Oh, okay,
parking violations.
okay, thank you. I'll write something for
And as the mayor said, they only get what files we send to them. So we're only, at this point, that's the policy, is only to send those traffic camera files to them.
Okay, I think we'll just consider this under first reading. Is that okay with everyone? And Michael, you want a few examples of what they can and can't do for the next meeting?
I wouldn't mind.
I'll see what we can get from them, okay?
I have some questions about the contract.
Yeah.
Circulate, but David, you were saying that it was limited to Mayfield Road.
It's-
You gotta help me. I don't.
It's not limited to Mayfield Road. What he was saying is that it doesn't say what it can go for. And so that was what he was trying to say. But in my opinion, it should just be whatever we send over to them.
Right.
So if we have 10 cameras and we send over 10, that's great. If we have one and we send over one,
We send them that's what they got.
it's whatever we send.
But they'd all be camera offenses.
In this case, yes, we're not going to send for, yeah.
We just change our mind.
But they,
Add
yeah,
to it.
I don't know what else we'd add to it because.
Other traffic.
Where
Yeah,
do,
although that wouldn't be us collecting.
where do we stand on the issue of looking at traffic cams on other roads? Is there something being done on that, or we decided not to, or what's the status?
Not sure when you say other roads, if you're talking about school zone issue, or you're talking about other
No, I'm
traffic?
talking about County Line, Somme, Chagrin River Road, Wilson Mills.
We have no effort underway within the village to look at any other location other than the school zone on Mayfield Road. If council wants that done,
I personally am more concerned about safety on village roads than I am about safety on a state highway where most of the people are not our residents in the first place.
I don't speak, because every time I think I know what to do, it turns out to be wrong. But, I don't think in this case, I'm all for other cameras that make sense. If the chief can explore that, that would be fantastic to say, hey, here's some places that we might be able to control the speed on.
and we have done that in the place that seemed to be the most dangerous was the school zones on Mayfield Road outside St. Francis.
Okay.
Other places within the village, not saying there's not speeding on County Line or Brigham or Gates Mills Boulevard or Dorchester, but the volume probably doesn't justify that.
Yeah, but Hunting Valley is doing it, so obviously they found a service provider. Maybe Gatso doesn't want to do it. Hunting Valley has found a service provider who's willing to do it.
But, so remember, Gatso paid for it. They paid for the installation. It was no cost to us because they felt.
Same thing is true in Hunting Valley. I checked.
I don't know, did they?
I checked with the CFO. They don't own any of the equipment. They don't operate the equipment. It's all handled by an outside service provider on a contingency fee basis, exactly the arrangement we have. And not only that, the contingency fees are about the same.
You know, what I'd say on that is that the prices of cameras are, they have plummeted. It is insane. I cannot imagine that slapping together a solar panel, a battery, and a camera on a small cell.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
Instead of
it is.
putting a big bloody tower up and running electricity to it, they're putting up a solar panel to power the camera. Gatso is kind of yesterday's technology.
We've
Why don't we
had all
move
the-
on? We're getting beyond.
I know.
division.
Can we just I'd like to make a comment kind of
Sure.
counter to some of this discussion, and that is, we had a lot of discussion about whether or not we were going to put up a traffic camera on Mayfield and what that meant in terms of our community and surrounding communities, et cetera. And now, you seem to be raising an issue about putting cameras on multiple streets throughout the village. I am not in favor of that at this point. I don't understand why we would do that.
I agree with that. We Mayfield Road was done for a very specific reason because of the difficulty in policing that road and getting officers out there. I've sat out there with Mike Palutro when cars are ripping by going 65 miles an hour at the end of Carpenter Road, and it's scary. So
And it had
to
the
me, it was a very
added advantage
specific reason.
that most of the people who are paying aren't Gates Mills residents. It's a good classic case of the rich putting up a toll gate to penalize the poor.
Okay,
That's
let's,
state highway.
let's move on.
You're entitled to opinion.
Let's move on. I think we've heard from everybody multiple times. We'll consider this as first reading. We'll be back next month. Thank you. Okay, next item, other council business. We had a variety of findings in the comprehensive plan document. The plan prioritized several of these. You then approved the recommendations that I gave over a year ago to group these into those that were strategic and those that were operational. There are several that were not pursued. And Michael's made a point of making sure that council has a view on what those were, and maybe perhaps they want some work done. So as I promised last month, I would write one paragraph on each of the 4 items, and we can discuss those today. If you want to go forward with something, let me know. We'll talk about it. And if you think they've been appropriately disposed of, then that's fine too. So number 1, there was and then this is my shorthand, so I didn't write this to have it published. It probably will be published, but number 1, there was a negative view on the school district. The comments that were made were that the school district is not as good as others, and so on and so forth. We discussed that, unfortunately, for a number of months. That whole process was negated by, well, I'm going to write it here. It's been negated by the 5-star performance of the district as evaluated by the state of Ohio. Further, the 4 municipalities that comprise the school district passed a new operating levy demonstrating their support of the school district. The Gates Mills Elementary School continues to rate as one of the best elementary schools in the state. Gates Mills residents should follow this lead in any comments about the quality of the district. Does anybody want to talk any further about the negative view on the school district?
I agree with your, with your paragraph and, the levy in November that was passed by the village after many years of not passing the school levy, I think also points to the feelings of villagers. And going back to the comprehensive plan, was really a bifurcated response about the schools. One said that they were negative. I mean, one end was that it was negative. The other side said that it was a gem, that was one of the highlights and positive attractions in the village. I'm convinced that we've reviewed this issue many times around this table, and we may come away with different views, but I think it moves in the wrong direction to raise it for discussion and demonstrate any kind of lack of support for our school district.
I think we should go back to the same realtors we talked to last time. We should reenact the subcommittee, the outside perspective subcommittee, have them go back to the same realtors, ask them the same question and see if the perception has changed. Because if the perception is the schools are bad, it's a problem, whether that's the reality or not. And if there's a negative perception, perhaps there's something positive we can do about it. I do think Mayfield School has made some headway in the right direction, but they are not back at the level of Orange, Chagrin, and Solon where they were 10 years ago. 5-star rating or not, look at the performance on the test. They're not even close to those other schools.
What would we do?
I don't know. I'm not the one who went out and looked at it in the first place, but I listened during the comprehensive planning process to what the outside perspectives. They brought 2 issues to our attention, and we've ignored both of them. One was the schools, the other was the rundown houses.
Yeah, but if that came from the realtors, I mean, certainly they have some influence on sales in the village, et cetera, but if the community feels good about the schools, isn't that the most important thing?
Well, that was not what the conclusion of the outside perspectives.
But it was from realtors, right?
It was from people who are showing people houses in this community and others and finding out why, we were trying to figure out why people choose to buy here versus there. And that's a pretty good source, I think. I'm not surprised that people in Gates Mills who send their kids to Mayfield schools think it's a good
I
school.
guess if the
I
school
suspect you could go to any school district in
Well,
the country and that's what they would say.
which I think it is, at some point, do we just say, how much do we really care if there's a few people who
The
don't?
test results speak for
understand that.
themselves. They're not back at the same level. So the people who, the outside perspectives made the right conclusion, not the wrong conclusion. We may not like it. We may not believe it, but that's the conclusion they reached.
Let's not get confused here. The outside perspectives, the use of realtors was not to ask for the realtors, it was to ask the opinion of the people they dealt with who might buy in this area of the country. So they would actually they were asked to portray what people's perceptions were of our school district as they considered where to live in Northeast Ohio. It was not the realtor's point of view. The realtor was the conduit. That was the idea. Whether it was purely that, I have no idea. You were closer to it than I was, Chuck.
And we are better. Our school is a lot better than most of the schools in Cuyahoga County. But the people we're trying to attract are looking at areas like Sugar Grant and Orange and Solon and Gates Mills and Hunting Valley. They're not looking at broader Cuyahoga County. We're not looking to attract those people and they're not looking to live here. What was the question?
Oh, I don't know what we would do.
Oh, I don't know what we do either.
It is the
Oh,
practical.
so there's a problem, so we don't know how to solve it, so we'll shove it under the rug and pretend that it doesn't exist.
We're not shoving it under the rug. It's right here and it's here for discussion. Do you have any specific things that you want to do?
I don't even,
Does anybody on council want to pursue this?
I can't solve the problem without understanding it.
Well, then I don't know that there is a problem. If there was a problem, it was 3 years ago and it's been resolved. The school district is a 5-star school district. We should just accept that because it's been published and it's been rated by the state. The elementary school is rated one of the best in the state. We should accept what we hear.
I'm happy to go off the state ratings. Let's look at the performance test rating.
It's not our job. Our job is not to evaluate the school district. Job is to run the village. Okay, the school district is part of it. But we don't control the school district. We can't hire or fire anybody. We can't change the board. And they're doing a good job.
Some favorable advertising for Mayfield School District. We might be able to, if the perception is incorrect, we might be able to address that and improve the perception.
We have a school liaison committee. We've had that since 2011. If you've got comments or recommendations, I would suggest that you offer them for that.
I've tried and it doesn't do any good. And others have tried. It doesn't do any good. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah.
Okay, we agreed that we would discuss these. Is there anybody on council or should we take a vote? Do we want it? Let's vote. Okay, so we don't have to discuss this every month. Does council want to go forward and dig further into the negative view on the school district or not? Roll call.
Anton,
Haven't thought about it. What are we voting on?
We're voting on whether you want more work done on the issue of, is there a negative view on the school district?
Or whether we want to kill it.
Deacon,
Doesn't that have to be put forth by someone in council?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. Well, I need a second. I can make a motion that the council not look further into the comment on whether the Mayfield School District has a negative view.
Second.
Thank you.
I move.
You can suggest it.
Okay, suggested motion.
Oh, then I'll make the motion.
Thank
There.
Whatever.
Will you repeat
that
the
time.
motion?
Craig's gonna move.
Trying to think.
Craig's gonna move.
Yeah,
Why don't we do this? This is
Listen,
a
I'll-
waste of time. Why don't we
No, I
bring these?
think, I think,
why don't we-
I think he'll want his motion.
I think it's
Yeah.
important.
I was just gonna say, we'll come back with the form of motions.
As it relates to the-
It's gonna be a report.
as it relates to the first paragraph on here, I don't think, I'll make a motion that the council does not need to explore anything further regarding the Mayfield School District, given the fact that it has a 5-star rating and the elementary school is one of the top elementary schools in the state.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Eton,
Yes.
Brew,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Press,
No.
Steinbring.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passed. Thank you. Second item that, I'll just read this. There was a question on whether the housing stock in the village is quote unquote a project. I wrote, there are few homes in the village, say 25 of 900, that look sad. There are other homes that are historic and aged that are attractive to people because of that. There was a comment that the community undertakes some type of Habitat for Humanity project, or that we create a tax incentive to get people that have sad homes to fix them up. In my view, there are so few of these structures, and frankly, that a formal program may be redundant and less attractive than the rehab professionals and the financing offered by the Cleveland Restoration Society. Indeed, this council supports the Cleveland Restoration Society, and two of our residents last year pursued that. Further, the CRS did a seminar in the village just last month. I've spoken to their executive director, and they are willing to come back out if need be. 2 owners participated in the process in 2024, and I don't think either of them pursued home remodeling or changes through the CRS system. So in my view, this is not something that needs to be further considered or reviewed by council.
The only comment I would make is we have talked in planning and zoning over the last number of years on having some sort of a point of sale in home inspection. And the members of planning and zoning that has not been well favored or well thought out, that we're going to have Dave Biggert go around home by home as homes are being sold. This needs fixed, that needs fixed, like what Shaker Heights does. Longer term, that probably starts to address some of these things, but you know, to your point, unless council is going to direct planning and zoning to look up and take up point of sale inspections, I don't know much else that can be.
How about a tax abatement program where if somebody were, say, choose an example, somebody were put a 6-figure improvement to the exterior of their home, we'd give them a tax abatement for a few years. What would be wrong with doing something like that?
I'll leave that to council.
Not sure there's anything wrong with it. Market tends to take care of itself. People buy the house good price because it's got deferred maintenance, and then they splurge to bring it up.
Yet, it came out as a negative. The Outside Perspectives Committee, when they talked to realtors about choosing Gates Mills versus other communities in the Chagrin Valley. So are you saying that Outside Perspectives dropped through the wrong conclusion? The market is taking care of it in all these communities and they were wrong? Or is there something different about our?
Well, I think they were wrong. You know, we have the benefit now of having gone through the sexennial assessment where the county sent people to every single property in the community. And they didn't just do the number, they put a rating.
Didn't come to my property.
They did. They're obligated by law in the sexennial to go to every. Well, they don't come inside. They pull in your driveway.
They didn't.
Okay.
The house isn't.
All right. Well, I can't tell you that they did or they didn't, but I can tell you that they rate the houses, and we had less than 20 houses in Gates Mills that were rated fair or poor. So to size this problem, there's really not a lot.
I wasn't involved. Committee came up with this conclusion. I think we have a little bit older housing stock. Doesn't always look like the HGTV, Frisco, Texas, new suburban housing. And so perhaps some people have an expectation that everything should be like that. And for every house should be a Chuck Fazio design, palace. And not all that way. Doesn't mean bad houses.
And
I
if you're
think I go to John's comment. What would we do?
I think we also, when we did the comprehensive plan, and I did 30% of those into myself, we were also coming off a time where it was pretty hard to sell a house in. And yet now we're at a point where there are very few houses on the market and they're selling at much, much higher prices than they were then. So we can think about what the comprehensive plan found out, but we can also look at the results of sales in the community, which I think have been very strong.
That's really a good point. That was what was happening at the time. And if we're talking about, I mean, we can all think of homes where maybe from the street, the fences are down, or there's some, trees that are fallen and it'd be nice to clean up. Maybe some of that comes under existing ordinances, but it wouldn't, and maybe those could be better, better enforced. But that's probably as far as I would go.
We have the ordinances, and from my perspective, Dave Bigger's pretty good at enforcing.
Right, and if we tell Dave, we identify a place for
If
him.
he
to
gets
go
a
to.
complaint, and
I'm talking about something, not clean up water,
Okay.
something to encourage investment in housing. Owners have to volunteer. They have to make the investment. We can't make it for them, but we can incentivize them to improve their house.
There's a slight, first of all, that's a really good point with the ordinance. I wasn't thinking about that. The fact that we already have these ordinances for the, they split real fences that we have everywhere that keep falling down because of the deers. But anyway, one thing I would say is that let's say you did put something in place that said, hey, here's something as an incentive for your house. I would apply for it. And I don't think that I'm your target audience for wanting to apply to that.
Define it in a way that you wouldn't qualify.
Oh, thanks. But I would,
Todd,
yeah, I'd like to see those words. But I think that we might target the wrong, we might bite off more than we can chew in terms of like, wow, everyone has a tax abatement now. Because immediately when you said that, I had a little endorphin rush going, ooh, wow, this, I got some stuff to do.
no,
I'm not sure.
we'd have to have the power to approve whether a house qualified for the tax.
Ooh,
And,
that's a toughie in Gates Mills.
Yeah.
the village does not have authority to give tax abatement outside of what's in the state code. Now, it's some other kind of incentive, I suppose.
Yeah.
Income tax,
Well, we
that you
school
control.
district involved, they'd be involved in it as well.
Well,
You've got the
Everybody
county, you
gets a
got the
piece of the
library,
pie.
you got the metro parks, you got
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, there's a county issue there.
That's controlled by state.
This is
Some-
an
some
issue
of
that
the-
affects less than 2% of our property. So is there any further discussion? If not, I'd appreciate a motion from council one way or another.
All right, I would move that on this issue that we do not need to investigate this any further.
Is there a second?
well, do you want to describe the issue?
That we do not need to undertake any Habitat for Humanity type build or create a tax incentive. Just based on the fact that there are so few properties that would be eligible for this, and that the market will care of it itself, and we have zoning ordinances to cover it.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
UNESCO,
Yes.
Press,
No.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passed. Next item on my list was downtown development. I put down there's some merit to further consider this. In the last 2 years post COVID and post comprehensive plan, Sarah's is busy again. The coffee shop is a hit. The Old Liberty Tavern seems to be more occupied with tenants. There's a buzz in the town center. You walk around any time of day, there's people walking around. Oftentimes that's anchored by the library, post office, Marston Park, pickleball. So I think this is an item that we could take a look at. We would need to very clearly have a discussion on what scope that is, how far it goes geographically, what's included in the study, what report we would want back.
Yeah,
Comments, John?
this may go under the new business type thing, but I'm not exactly sure because this paragraph doesn't exactly ring with, one of the reasons I really wanted to be on council, which was to revitalize this downtown area, not necessarily, I'm not talking shops or anything, I'm talking about the actual buildings here that city organizations are in, police, fire, service, all that kind of stuff. I was looking for, because I don't know how to do this, and so I said it a couple of times now, but now that I've got my feet wet a little bit, I really want to take this out for a spin and see how this works. I'm looking for a mentor to kind of tell me what the steps would be to assemble a committee to look at putting forth something that allows us to either renovate or get new buildings or bring us up to spec with bring us up to the feel of the downtown areas and the surrounding communities, Hunting Valley, that kind of stuff, and see what we can do just to explore. And obviously that exploratory side of it still has a price tag associated with it, in terms of, gathering information and all that. But I actually, I'm pleading ignorant here because I don't know how to go about doing this. So I'm hoping someone will work with me to, to at least explore it so that I can present and articulate to the rest of the people here, hey, this is what I would love to see us explore and see if there's a way to get this out on the ballot and get some funding to do this. So I don't know if there's overlap between what this paragraph is and what my new business is.
Well, I think that, I don't think it's overlap. I think they're just contiguous. I mean, half of the buildings in town center are municipal buildings.
Okay.
And they need work.
Yep.
Frankly, a lot of it's deferred. And then we have the buildings that are village owned or OLT's building that some of those also need some work and perhaps some could be expanded in some way. So by downtown development, I'm talking kind of like from this building to the bridge and from the river to behind the Mills building.
So I would love to have that. I don't know how we make a committee. I would love to be on it, chair it, whatever it may be. I know my daughter wants to be on that committee. And she told me if I didn't bring this up, she would, hang me. So and I don't want to get hung. So
I think it's a good thing. We've done a lot of things to fix and to promote what we currently have, but there isn't a comprehensive plan dealing with, kind of the downtown development, both the municipal buildings and the commercial buildings.
So what's the first step? I like actionable items. What's the first step? What do I do like today? What do I say?
Well, we actually have in the village, a plan that was done 10, 15 years ago, on, I'll say, revitalizing downtown. It's called, but something like that, because it was done at the period of time before maybe Sarah's was open, while the Mills building was or wasn't occupied. And there's a lot of good information in there about statistics and demographics and who uses the downtown and why. That's probably a good study piece to start with. And look at organizations, firms, consultants experts that could update that or freshen it up or give us a new one.
And so does it become a committee to do that, or can I just do it?
No, I think if council, if the other 70 of you want to do that, I think we form a committee of some type and give it a charter and appoint chairman or chairpersons and move forward.
Okay, I'd like to do that.
Okay, thank you. Other thoughts?
I think we should keep it on the agenda, and also we might expand it just a bit to also include activities, how we better use the building.
Yeah.
Sitting in, I think it fits in well with David's observation of the two different things for seniors too, activities, socialization, things to do. And so I think that would be by a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I mean, overlapping with, when they're with the revitalization and overlapping with, I mean, this is just a big room, but if we gave it some thought and some elbow grease and looked at what we could really do down here, I think it'd be amazing. And it'd probably be done by the time that I would need to use everything. So that'd be great.
Okay. Lori and Craig, any thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, listen, I think it certainly merits a larger discussion. I worry what residents are going to think, that we're going to start changing downtown and doing things to buildings and changing some of the historic structures that we have. And so I think a committee is fine. I think the devil's in the details in terms of what, what that means. There were people that were against putting a coffee shop in. And I heard from, a handful. So I just, slower is always better.
I kind of move quick, but you'd probably be a great temper to me. So if you want to be on that committee, I'd love to be on it with you.
Yeah, I think some of the spaces in particular that's occupied by our village employees could really use an upgrade.
Some of it seems like a safety issue, to be honest with you. You can walk around.
Those little back steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at to make sure that they've got good working spaces that are, appropriate and,
I just have this thing where I just want to showcase the police and fire department, and
I can get up the steps, down them. Have to hold on, but yeah, just, might be nice to
So concerned
really
about-
take a look at that.
We'd all be concerned about setting the parameters and the guidelines, the scope of timing.
Yeah.
Make sure we all understand what those are. David?
Well, this was a big deficiency in the comprehensive plan. I don't think this downtown village center was talked about at all. Certainly there were no ideas about what to do except the coffee exception. So I think this was a big deficiency in the comprehensive plan, and it should be repaired, that deficiency.
Well, we're not here to judge or repair the comprehensive plan. We're here to decide whether we want to
I'm
focus
saying
on
let's
downtown.
go ahead with this.
Okay, thank you. Sandra?
So this is like a big issue that kind of just popped up, so to speak, and it is exciting, and you're
I am.
excited about it.
Well, my daughter's excited.
And your daughter's excited, and you said that going back to the first interview.
To the first interview, yep.
So you're consistent, and I trust you looking into this. The idea of I'd like to see it fleshed out a little bit more among us. When you talk about forming a committee, without kind of a scope or a mission, it feels a little premature for that. So maybe circulating among council members and having a further discussion about this and what the scope of it might be. When, in my mind, I'm picturing what.
So I was reversed. I thought I needed the committee to make the scope.
Yeah, well, in my mind, I have some ideas, but they might not be what your ideas.
You don't want neon?
Bright orange they glow.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm thinking about other groups like the Recreation Committee, the Architectural Review, the Historic Review, and how we get them involved. So for me, at this moment, it's like, just thinking a little bit more about it before we appoint a committee. And I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
It came up in the plan. That's why I thought we ought to decide one way or the other. The reason I would do it, I think, to me, what it's more about is a blueprint of what kind of things we would like, what kind of things we wouldn't like. I don't really want to stimulate development of downtown any faster than it would happen on its own. But we are living in a town where there are some things we don't control. We don't control what happens to the Hunt Club. We don't control what happens to Case Mills Elementary. We don't control the Levery Tavern. Those things, those things could change. And I think we ought to have, it wouldn't be a bad idea to give some thought to what we would do, and that would help us react if and when something ever happens.
Mike, I
don't have a strong feeling, other than it was something that came in the plan, we ought to say yes or no.
Right.
So we can tick that box that we did something about it, we didn't stick for it.
I like a cafeteria style too, where I could say like, look, here's some contingency plans should, so this, I hear everyone talk about the post office and that club. But
It's another one.
right, but it would be cool to put in a contingency plan there that says, okay, all right, if the post office, like here's the entire platter that we have to work with. And if indeed the post office goes away, let's talk about putting in a diner there or something like that. But we could have like contingency plans in there if indeed the library goes up for sale, should the, here's the pros and cons of what would happen if the city purchased that property or if they didn't, that kind of stuff. And so like there would be, you'd have all these, contingency plans in there, but coming back full circle, I would definitely address the downtown area in terms of safety for one, for the buildings, usability of the buildings, presentation of the buildings, and interaction with the community. So those are some of the things, and I'm happy to write that up into a multi-page thing that says, here's what we would like to tackle, as long as I can start tackling some of them from at least because right now I feel like I'm coming in, I'm voting, but I have all this energy to give, and I'm just kind of, I'm waiting for this, like, hey, let's.
We love your energy.
He said to me like he's volunteering.
I did volunteer, hands down.
Well, and we've had special council meetings on different topics.
Yeah, we
This
can do
might
that.
be a way to start, might be a special council meeting on this, at least to get some parameters among council and get a committee going to work on.
Okay, so this is viewed as pretty positive, so I don't know if we need a resolution. I'm not sure what that would say, but I get the sense would be that the council's asking the mayor, the administration to give further thought to downtown development effort with the scope and objectives to be determined and share with council.
Need a motion.
Yeah, how about you and I just meet for an hour or so, hash out the details, and
Frankly,
then,
I like to do things that way, but I was pressed the other moment to bring all these to a decision point. So,
perfect.
okay, so the decision is you and I will work on this together.
I like
Is
it.
that all right with everyone?
And then I'll grab some other hostages here to come in with me, and we'll go from there.
Okay, last item was reshape the historic district. Comments were during the comprehensive plan, and we see a lot of this when people come through planning and zoning, or they come to the architectural board, or they come to the historic district. Why am I in the historic district? Why am I not? Why is the guy across the street in one, but I'm not, et cetera, et cetera. Most of these questions about the historical designation of the historic district, in my mind, are raised when owners are looking to approve plans to remodel or add on to or build their house. Going back 25 years ago, there was a huge undertaking supported by research and affidavits and filings with regulatory authorities to define the historic district. And we've done that, and it's served us, in my mind, well for the last 30 years. To my knowledge, there's been no serious interest in looking at this. I don't see the benefit of re-evaluating the historic district, and I don't know what issue we would address. So I would rather turn the conversation to, let's talk about the historic places that we have with bridges and buildings and homes and things along that way, rather than trying to decide whether we should redraw the district. Which, by the way, would be an expensive and time-consuming process. Lori?
Yeah, so agree, that's a great idea to spend time on really highlighting But to your point, we do get a lot of questions, you know, why is this house in? Why is that house out? And I'm not sure that we have a really good answer other than, well, that's the way it was drawn. So it might be worth going back, taking a look at it, really understanding what the thought process was, because I'm not sure there's anyone still around who does know what that is. And so that way we're gonna leave it alone. Then at least we're able to explain the rationale and so on to people who, you know, sometimes they're like, well, why aren't I in this store? Or why am I in? And why is this funny line go like this? So I think it would be a useful exercise just to understand.
Understand and explain the historic district. And there are some resources. around.
Back and look at it.
Yeah.
And then the highlight thing's great.
Yeah, and from the Architectural Review Board perspective, that it does come up as well. And being in the historic district, I mean, it is more expensive ultimately if you do want to make renovations. So that may be an issue getting back to houses that need to be renovated. If you are in the historic district, some of the materials and requirements to meet kind of the prior standards, it is expensive. So if there were houses, there are questions about whether or not a house should be in the historic district. So I would support taking a look at it, understanding it. And if there's changes, making recommendations. Yeah.
Any other comments on this topic? Greg? David?
No.
John? Michael?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this as understand and explain the historic district. Okay, and I can, we can do that. We've got Todd Hunt reports that Chuck Real is still alive and playing golf in Florida. Our previous law director.
Losing North Carolina.
North Carolina, he would have been around at the time, and there are a few other mayors that are around at the time, and other people that were around back in the 90s when this was all put together. So we do have some sources. Okay, thank you for your comments on this. Next item on the agenda is any other council business you care to bring up?
Hopefully not.
Comments from the audience? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion then that we move into, if I can,
What happened to broadband?
Huh?
Did we hear from broadband?
broadband.
Oh, broadband.
yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
apologies for having to address a medical issue. So you want me to go ahead and?
Yes,
do the
please.
Broadband? Okay. So moving right along with broadband, we've got a meeting tomorrow with their engineers, their construction folks, John, the mayor, myself, Chris. We're going to be there and spoke with them yesterday, and they're interested in explaining exactly how the construction's going to work, as well as talking about beginning to roll out the pricing and the subscriptions to residents. For the time being, you know, they were really interested in just engagement with the community. They had a float at the parade. I had a lot of nice comments about them and how they conducted themselves and what a nice group of folks they were, brought kids. So it was really a nice way for them to get introduced to some of the community, and they're going to continue to do that. And then we'll learn more tomorrow at 10 a.m. about the engineering piece, the construction piece, and so on.
Any comments or questions on the broadband activities? Thank you. At this time, there is one item that we would appreciate some legal advice from our law director. I would appreciate a motion and a second from someone to go into executive session.
Move that we go into executive session.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Craig.
Can you tell us what's the nature of the issue?
We're looking to seek legal advice from our law director.
Dealing with real estate.
Roll call, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbring.
Yes.
Turner. Yeah.
I'm sorry, was that a yes? Okay, thank you. We'll be back. Join us?
Yes.
Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting of the Gates Mills Council. Sandra, do you have a motion?
I'd like to move that if the Village of Gates Mills is offered the property of the deceased Dan Kish from his estate, that we accept the property and authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Berkshire Hathaway for the sale of that land.
Is there a motion? Second? Thank you, Craig. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Craig?
Yep.
Sandra, motion, Craig, second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
One quick thing, did anyone get this email? It was in my junk and should I mean, it's huge. I just got it right before the thing, but from Jerry Bohing? Yeah. So
Jerry sent an email out last night around 8 PM to all of you regarding his views on section 1160. I saw him before the meeting and thanked him for delivering that.
I haven't read it.
And that we would, that likely the council members would read it. We may have comment later on.
Okay.
When did he send it? Yesterday.
Yesterday at 7:48.
It was in my junk in Outlook, so that means it's probably in everybody's junk in Outlook because it's all the same filter. Yeah. So read it. Well, I guess not read it. I mean, it's like that big, so.
There was no action to take. It was it's his view on.
Oh, there's nothing in there we had to do. Okay, good. Okay.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Good night.